Welcome back to the Resistance Broadcast. It's episode 92. I'm your host, John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us and being a part of the Resistance, as our Twitter account at RBATSWNN just passed 1,000 followers today. So from all of us here at the Resistance Broadcast and Star Wars Newsnet, we thank you very much. So round of applause to you guys.
Woo!
Thank you so much. Please continue to spread the word to your friends and family, and let's aim for 2,000. Let's give it a shot. I don't think we're going to do it before The Last Jedi, though, because that opens in 24 days, if you guys believe it or not. That is absolutely crazy. 24 days from now, we will be seeing The Last Jedi. But we have a lot to get into today. So first, we're going to say hi to the fellas. Unfortunately, Bill is not here with us today. He, I don't know what he had to do. Something Star Wars he had to take care of that is in canon. I have no idea. But James Baney is here. James, what's happening, man?
Oh, a lot is happening, man. We're just working through a lot of news going on with the site. We're excited to maybe make some announcements here in the near future. But we're working through all those things. Star Wars is hot and heavy right now, guys. And there is no better time to be a Star Wars fan.
Absolutely. And the guy who may or may not have already beaten Battlefront, he could probably confirm that for us right now. Pat, what's up, Pat?
Not much. I can confirm I have completed Battlefront. And for reasons of me not wanting to spoil the campaign for you, even though a lot of you have already played it by the time this airs, I don't want to spoil it. There's some good stuff in there.
Well, we're going to get into Battlefront quite a bit later in the episode. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to go over some TV spots, some posters, the video game drama that we were just talking about. But first, let's talk about our poll results. We had asked you guys, where's Luke Skywalker's lightsaber? We're talking about all these things. Porgs, Kylo Ren, Snoke. Where is this lightsaber? So we asked you, we gave you some choices. And 8% of you said it was lost in Luke's Jedi Academy rubble. 10% of you said Kylo Ren or Snoke have it. 38% of you said R2-D2 has it. And the winning vote was 44%, so it was a pretty close poll. But 44% of you said Luke has it in another safe place somewhere. James and Pat, where is this lightsaber?
I said that Luke has it in another place safe somewhere. The other ones are possible, but I get why people said that they didn't think it was lost in the rubble, because it's got to show up again sometime. But no, I think he's just keeping it away, and I think whenever he needs it, he's going to bust it out. What do you think, Pat?
Well, I know I've been preaching this in past episodes of the podcast. We've always talked about how we think that it was spotted in Kylo Ren's hands in the Force back sequence. If you turned up the brightness, you could see something that appeared to be his lightsaber, but that was neither confirmed or denied by Lucasfilm, Pablo Hidalgo or anything like that. So it's still unknown. I would hope Luke still has it in a safe place, but with the chance of maybe Kylo having it, it's kind of sketchy.
Well, I think we all just kind of hope we see it at some point, just to tickle our little nostalgia fanboy in us all. But our best comment from you guys out there was Being Human, that's at The Laughing Dirt, and you said, I just thought of this last week, it's in R2. That's why Rian Johnson wanted JJ to have R2 travel with Rey instead of BB-8. And I know that's one of the more popular picks. Obviously, 38% of you out there voted for that. I actually picked that one myself too, but a great comment, so thank you so much, and thanks for being a part of the Resistance. Now, we're going to post a new poll today or tomorrow for you guys, so look out for that. Vote, share it, comment, eat your turkey, go back and vote again, unvote, I don't care. Just share it, get it out there, and as always, the best comment will be chosen and read on the next episode. So again, go to @RBATSWNN and get involved. Now, we announced a giveaway last week, the Star Wars Kirigami books for Journey to Star Wars The Last Jedi, and designer Marc Hagan-Guirey created the books of 15 different foldums of all the ships throughout the saga, and we're going to pick two winners right now. So we don't have Bill Sheehy for his little drum roll, but let's try and do our best impression of a drum roll here now. Joy to the world. That's probably how Bill sounds when he says it, right, guys?
Yeah.
The first winner is Ray at the Awakened SW. So congratulations,
Woo!
You have
just
won one of the
man.
books. And we're not going to do another drum roll. I'm just going to say the winner of the second is Thomas Story at Thomas Story. I apologize if I did not pronounce that right, but he's actually a member of Future of the Force. So go check them out and go follow Thomas on Twitter. So remember, as long as you aren't a part of our site or our show, you can still win. So you can be part of a different podcast or a different site and get involved and win these things. So Thomas, we're going to get that out to you. And Ray, whatever your real name is, unless it really is Ray, we'll get in touch with you and get that book out to you. So congratulations to both of you. And before we head to Newsnet, Star Wars Newsnet was actually invited to attend the world premiere of The Last Jedi in Los Angeles by Lucasfilm. And I am actually honored to represent us as Star Wars Newsnet and the Resistance broadcast. So I will be going to the premiere on December 9th in LA. I can't tell you how happy I am about that, but I will keep my lips shut. You guys will not hear a word about it until you get a chance to see the movie. But I'm just so pumped, and I had to tell you guys all about that. So come find me on Twitter, and we'll chat about how excited we are about the movie. But again, my lips will be sealed. Don't worry about that.
So you're not going to pull out your phone during in the middle of the movie and start recording scenes?
I was thinking about getting one of those
Facebook
old
live stream
VHS on top of the shoulder cameras and really just go for it, just with the spotlight, and just say, "Come get me, guys! Kick me out of here! Make some headlines, all right?" But speaking of headlines, let's fire it over to you, James. What's going on in Newsnet?
We got a couple new posters this week. One was from Dolby Cinema, and the other was from IMAX. While there are some similarities and some differences between them and the theatrical poster, the most notable similarity is the continued use of that red color. I'm going to shoot over to you first, Patrick. How do you feel about these posters compared to the theatrical, and which one is your favorite?
They're both very playful posters, which I like that the theaters have that little bit of extra gravitas to them. They're allowed to kind of explore new regions and take liberties as they may. So I really enjoyed that a lot. Out of these two, as I recall, I believe the Dolby was my more favorite, the more recent of the two, just because it has Luke in the background. You get that feeling with the sun in the corner. It's like from Force Awakens, where we had the Apocalypse Now look-alike thing that J.J. Abrams did as they were coming towards you on the big screen in the distance. That looks great. And of course, finally, we got a good amount of those walkers kind of up close now. We didn't have that in the theatrical poster. They're off in the distance.
I think, between those three that I've just mentioned, I still think that the original theatrical is probably the best, but I do actually like the IMAX one between the two more than the Dolby. I still kind of have a weird feeling about these posters. I just feel like they're Photoshop cutouts and they're moving them around, like it's the same image of Rey. It's the same image of Kylo. And in one image, Kylo's holding his lightsaber, and another image, he's holding his helmet. And it's like something about this just feels kind of disingenuous, but at the same time, like, I do like the images that I'm seeing, and I think they're really cool, really unique posters that will all of them could be something that is hung on someone's wall for a very long time. Now, I do note that there are differences between them, and some of the characters, a lot of the characters are in different poses and stuff, but sometimes it's like Finn running looking to the right, Finn running looking to the left. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, it's not really that big of a difference. I do like the TIE fighters. I do like the X-Wings, like that battle scene that's happening to the right on the Dolby one. And the thing of Luke is like, it's definitely a different picture, but it's so similar to all the other ones where he's just kind of standing there, but I like the placement a little bit better. John, when we first saw these, I had already expressed my feelings about how I wish they would kind of change things up. And you wrote me and you're like, here you go, James, here's the poster you've been wanting. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. So what are your thoughts on these posters?
So that was it. I saw, Dolby's official Twitter account posted their version of the poster, and I was like, oh wow, finally a poster that doesn't look like velvet cake. It's not dark red and white, which is fine because I know it's quote unquote the theme of the movie because of Crate or whatever, but I'm honestly getting a little tired of the thematics. Like, Star Wars doesn't need color themes. It's never been that way. But yeah, when I saw that Dolby poster and all the different warm colors, like the oranges and the different hues and stuff, I was like, and it didn't look like a fan made it, I was like, oh, I gotta show James this one. This is gonna be the one. He's finally gonna stop complaining about posters. And then I send it to you and you're like, it's the same thing. I'm like,
I think I literally even used the term like, this is what fan edits do. They use the same pictures you've seen from other posters and stuff.
I responded to you. I said, you deserve nothing. But no, I do love this poster just because it had, like I said, it has a warm, it feels like Star Wars to me. It reminds me of the almost artistic versions of the posters from, say, even Empire, which looks like pastels or something. It doesn't look like it's pasted in some kind of computer program. And the whole thing about it's clearly to me, Rey and Luke, their silhouettes on that cliff there, and it looks like he's training her, but not with lightsabers, because it looks like she has her staff. And I don't think they would sell us Luke with a lightsaber on a poster like that, even though the international one showed him with one. So I think he's got one of those sticks that he's been walking around with, and he's like, you don't deserve the lightsaber yet until I tell you to. So he's banging around with the stick, and she's got her staff. So I think that's going to kind of bounce off of one of the TV spots we're going to talk about in a little bit. But
that's obviously a lot like Kanan and Ezra, too. Or, I'm sorry, Kanan and Sabine. He said, you don't start with a lightsaber. You start with just these sticks because I don't know that I necessarily trust you. And she works her way up to earning the ability to use the lightsaber again.
So it's, I mean, those thematics, the whole, you need to earn this type of thing. But if I had to pick one of the posters to hop onto a frame and go to on my wall to represent The Last Jedi, it's going to be this Dolby one over all the posters. And that's going back to the poster from Celebration. So I really enjoy this poster. I know we've had some mixed thoughts on that, but I know our listeners probably think a lot about it too. So definitely hit us up and let us know what you guys think too. But what else is cracking?
Well, that's not the only piece of marketing we got this week. As we get closer and closer to the release of The Last Jedi, we are going to see more and more and more TV spots. This week alone, we were treated to 3 individual ones highlighting new scenes with specific characters. Rey, Poe and Leia, even a little bit of Rose in there, Finn and Poe, and they showed us some really cool scenes from the Battle of Crate. Now, actually, as of recording, we're getting more and more and more, and there's even some new ones now where we're starting to get even more lines and some revealing lines. John, before you give me your take on these TV spots, do you mind if I jump in a ship and go blow some stuff up?
Permission granted.
Very nice.
Is that what she said?
That is what she said.
I should have said it in a more Carrie 2016 voice, like, permission granted.
Yeah. But I'm happy with the fact that you even got the reference.
Oh, God.
What are your thoughts on the TV spots?
It took me a second. I like the TV spots. The one with Rey, like I was just saying, it connected me to that Dolby poster, because I think Luke turns her away, and then she's like, well, fine, I'm still going to go try to learn better lightsaber stuff. So she goes off and she's swinging the thing around, and then you see him kind of looking down. And in the first teaser, way back when, we saw Luke on top of the mountain looking down at Rey. I don't think that was him mentoring her. I think that's him saying, she's still here and she's still doing this. And it kind of triggers him to say, like, all right, let's see what this is all about. So I think that's what stood out to me on the Rey TV spot. And then the Poe move, the slide, Fast and Furious drifting move. I don't think we've ever seen that with an X-Wing. So I like the balance in that TV spot between serious and fun. And I hope that's what we're getting with The Last Jedi, because it's been so heavy and dark with the promotion. They're starting to turn it around and show us some of the fun stuff. So for that TV spot, that's what I got there. I know we'll get into more in a little bit.
Patrick, how are you feeling about these ones that I just mentioned a few minutes ago?
I really enjoyed the stuff John was talking about like the drift maneuver. That was really cool to see an X-Wing do that, first of all. Normally that would be something you'd see like maybe with an F-22 Raptor in our world. That's the only point I can think of that can do that.
That's Captain Din Wiesel, by the way.
Captain Din Wiesel?
He fights for the Rebel Alliance, yeah.
He was ordered by General Staff Chat to
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed these. The one cringe moment, and somebody brought this up, is that one where Finn goes, "May the Force be with you," and that really awkward smile he makes afterwards. It looks like he's saying, like, hey, this is a joke. This isn't actually in the movie. Like,
it's almost like Poe or Finn got so dejected by Han Solo shooting him down about how the Force works that he's timid to say it anymore. So he's like, now that he's dead, let me try it again.
So yeah, it's interesting. There wasn't anything huge in there that made me go like, oh my god, I need to see this, like, wow, holy crap. It was the same general stuff. You're run-of-the-mill Star Wars action sequences and stuff. But I'm more interested in the storyline with this one. I really am.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think there wasn't like a whole lot in these TV spots, and there will continue to be not a whole lot. Just I think that every once in a while, like every 6 or 8 TV spots, there's going to be one that gives us some new nugget that's really worthwhile. And I think we actually I am going to say too, the really quick before we move on to that, I want to comment on the fact that I'm not even entirely positive that an X-Wing could do that in space, but I don't care at all because it's so awesome. Right. Like, I would be bummed if they tried to restrict themselves to what, is scientifically possible. And then we don't get Poe being like some crazy, pilot in space. So I'm really happy with that. Now, right before we started recording this podcast, a couple spots dropped, and one specifically had new lines from Rey in it, where she was saying to Luke, pretty much confirming in a lot of the conversations that we've had that she might be talking to so-and-so or so-and-so. She's now definitively talking to Luke saying, Kylo failed you, I will not.
Yes. And
this is exciting.
Yeah, and James, you and I were talking about this right before we went on the air, and sometimes it seems like we have really good conversations that we wish we recorded, but that's always the case, right? Everyone who does podcasts probably know that. But we were saying, like, we think that might have been the first time we ever heard Rey mention Kylo Ren by name. Mm-hmm. He was a monster, he was this, he was that, but this is the first time we're actually hearing her say Kylo as Rey. So I found that to be interesting. And again, like you're saying, the end of that full trailer, everyone's like, oh, she's talking to Chewie because Chewie was sitting by that fire there, so she's got to be having a deep conversation with a Wookiee about her future. Yeah, go delete those tweets, pal. And she definitely wasn't talking to Kylo Ren. We were talking about misdirection there, and I think most of us in this podcast were thinking she was talking to Luke. So unless they're doing a double misdirect, I think we nailed that one. But Pat, what do you think about Rey and her words?
The first thing that popped into mind was a little certain sequence from Aladdin. Yeah, that's right. That other Disney film. That conversation like that the Sultan father was having with Princess Jasmine about, like, just don't go for the common street rat. Why would you do that? This is for all those hardcore Reylo fans. They're still trying to push it hard in the marketing, and Kylo Ren's kind of like the street rat Aladdin in this. So they're trying to make you hate Kylo some more, but at the end they're also trying to turn around and make you think maybe I do like this guy. Maybe he's gonna do something good. You know what? Just hold off. Wait until the film comes out and then give your thoughts.
So Pat, you're trying to say that Snoke is really a genie, and that's why he has those gold slippers and his robe and stuff?
That's right. Coming to YouTube near you, you're gonna see a Robin Williams Snoke cover.
Now, I don't necessarily know why they decided to show us a little bit more, but the scene that we got from the earlier trailer is actually a little bit extended, and we see Snoke not only have his hand out and say, fulfill your destiny, but he goes a little bit longer and he closes his eyes. Do you think that means anything? Do you think there's any relevance to showing us like one more second of him closing his eyes? Maybe
just for any people who are still doubting the CG aspect of this character.
Could be.
Eyes are a huge thing. I know we've talked about that. If you took Tarkin from Rogue One and put some kind of space sunglasses on him, you'd be like, that's Peter Cushing. But because you saw his eyes, there's something different about actual human eyes that they haven't been able to really capture yet for some reason. It looks really good with Snoke, and maybe they're showing like, yeah, we're confident to show you close-up Snoke, not only showing his eyes, but blinking. That's the only thing I could think of, unless he does a little I Dream of Jeannie and winks and something happens to somebody.
Well, I mean, that was my other choice, because we were just discussing the theory that he might actually be a genie, and I Dream of Jeannie was the obvious connection here, you know what I mean? So, but no, I agree with you. I didn't know why they would do it. I was throwing to you guys, and I think that's actually like a really good suggestion as to why they might be like, look, okay, we've got this character, you're uncertain about him, let's show you just a little bit more. Let's actually do something. But they don't want to show another scene. A scene could be revealing. They just like, what more could we show with this? Well, let's just extend it. Let him blink here.
Right.
And people will feel even more connected to the fact that he's real, and it's not just like an image that we're zooming in on. You know what I mean? Like, give him some life right here. Patrick, there were some other things in this this last TV spot that was new. Do you have any opinions on any of the new scenes that you saw there?
Seeing as I've only seen it once, I have to go back and watch it a couple more times. But the things, oh man, the stuff that really stood out was a lot of that action stuff on Crate.
Yeah, there's the Millennium Falcon getting closer and closer to the wall, and the gun is like starting to fall off.
Yeah.
It's getting beat up there. There's another scene where Luke is talking to Rey, and he says, "You've seen this island before in your dreams." So there's kind of definitely some, or like you've been here before in your dreams and stuff. You've seen this. So there's definitely some stuff there. I don't know, man. I think like as the TV spots continue, we're just going to get further and further down a rabbit hole. This almost might make it more difficult to begin to speculate because we have all these little random things. Do you think? Or do you think they'll start to nail in what we really...
I think because of this marketing campaign being as confusing as it has been, and they've been trying to throw people off, you might as well just stop speculating at this point, honestly, because they might be giving us a lot here and there, sparingly little bits of sugar here and there, but it's from so many different random spots in the film, you still can't piece it together, so you might as well just, like, wait until the film. I mean, that's what marketing's all about. It's making you get excited about the unknown.
And we're that close to the point where, like I can't picture us being like, spoiler alert, we got to spoil this one, and then it's like, wait, the movie's coming out in like 12 days, or it's like, what does it matter at that point? But I was a little not annoyed, but I was surprised they showed us, and spoiler alert for people who are pretentious and don't own TVs, that they showed us Rose in a ski speeder. I was surprised they gave us that one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it looks like the whole gang is getting together on Crate, and it might be a reverse Empire where at the beginning everyone's together in Empire, and I feel like this might be the end of the movie where everyone comes together, whereas Empire, everyone kind of spread out and did their own thing.
Yeah.
But I noticed something about the TV spots. They use certain themes for certain musical themes from John Williams for certain tones, and they always use the main Star Wars theme when they want to show fun stuff. So it's when it's like woohoo, aha, oohoo.
I picked that up too. That I heard the main theme play during one of these TV spots, and I thought they haven't been doing that. Every single one of these has been like the Empire, dun dun,
or the Force theme,
dun dun dun, yeah, and stuff like that. And they're throwing in a couple like the Jedi footsteps, obviously, is a big one that they've been throwing into a lot of the marketing, which is amazing to me because obviously Force Awakens was never marketed with that song. And we got that song in the movie and we were like, okay, cool. Like, what was that song they were playing at the end? We all bought the soundtrack. We were all really in love with it. And now they're like, well, this is a fan favorite. So we're going to start sticking this in all the marketing for the next movie. Because it makes a lot of sense. We're going to spend a lot of time at that island, and that kind of, it's called Jedi Footsteps, but it's kind of like the Octo theme, if you will. So it was actually almost refreshing to hear the most iconic song in Star Wars in a trailer for Star Wars.
The main theme.
Doesn't that seem a little odd? But it was absolutely true. It's like I heard it and I was like, well, this is different. Didn't expect this.
It just sets a different tone because like they play that. And it's like, oh, maybe it's not so dark. And you have Poe saying like, oh, that's got a kick. And then you hear Finn, woohoo! And it's like, oh, what? They're cowboys now. And it's the main theme. And then it goes to another trailer and it's like, it's like, oh, they're serious again. Okay. Let's go back to serious mode.
I don't want to train you. I'm all messed up.
Something
go
inside
away.
Me awaken.
Do you guys remember the Attack of the Clones TV spots way back in the day where they really went heavy on the Star Wars theme like that? It reminded me literally that. I felt like I flashed back to 2002 again. And it's
they use the main theme?
They use the main theme a lot in the TV spots. And it's like, holy crap, I feel like I'm watching literally Attack of the Clones TV spots again. And I kind of found that. I found that cool because it's the middle film of a trilogy again. It's like, wow. So maybe the marketing team looked back and they're like, you know what? That was really cool. I like what they did there. But as I recall, they overused it with Attack of the Clones. It was in like every single TV spot. So I'm glad they used this sparingly. I hope that is reason enough to give the marketing team a little bit of credit into not thinking like, hey, this is one giant misleading scam and we're messing with the fans. But
did they have as many TV spots for those movies back then? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, they had just as many, if not more.
Really?
Yeah.
I forget.
And they're all on the DVDs. You can go back and watch them if you have the 20th Century Fox DVD editions of the prequels.
That's the thing is, like, they obviously were marketing the movie the same way, but I do kind of feel like there might actually be more today because they start doing things like, well, we got to make a specific one for Instagram. We got to make a specific one for Twitter. You know what I mean? And like they might start pushing to social media, but they're still covering just as much of the television stuff as they always did. So, and then in a world of fast-paced media, they might have been able to, even in the early 2000s, get away with like, 10 or 20 different versions of the trailer. But then in today's, they're like, well, we'll just make 50 like 15-second versions, and then we'll just put them out, and then it'll constantly get people like, oh, there's another one, let's cover it. Oh, there's another one, let's cover it. You know what I mean? And it's constantly getting people talking on social and all their different platforms and stuff. But guys, The Last Jedi is not the only thing happening in Star Wars these days. We're on the verge, and by the time the podcast airs, we'll have released Battlefront 2. This week, actually, players got their first access into Battlefront 2, brought to you by EA. Once in, players started to notice the way that EA had set up the game mechanics in order to unlock future content. If you want to play as certain characters, you have to play the game long enough to unlock those characters, but the amount of time needed to unlock the characters was unreasonably high. One report said that it would take over 4,500 hours of playtime in order to unlock all available characters. Now, the alternative to the unrealistic amount of playtime is paying to unlock those characters. If you choose to go with that method, then it could cost in the upwards of $2,100. That's $2,100 to unlock the characters. Obviously,
it's like neither
one of these methods sits well for players of the game, and they have taken to the news and social media to express their concerns against EA. It has become such a large movement that the game is actually getting bad reviews and returns so significant that questions of Lucasfilm stepping in and removing EA from the future projects is starting to pop up. Now, since all of this went down, the prices have dropped a significant amount, but still the trust has been broken, and EA is just really trying to pick up the pieces of all this mess. They're trying to save themselves a little bit. Pat, of the three of us here, I believe you're the only one who has played Battlefront 2. What does this whole situation look like from the inside? Will we ever see EA do another Star Wars game?
Yeah, I do think EA is actually going to make another Star Wars game. We already know currently that the Motive project is still kind of under wraps, even though that Motive has been basically become a part of EA, as we learned just a few days ago. And that was really tragic news, because first it was Visceral, and Visceral's project got canned. And then all of a sudden we got the news EA was grabbing Motive, and you're like, what the heck? Are they just like trying to keep us from getting Star Wars games? And then we heard news that I believe it was one of the EA studios over in California is still planning on continuing this game. They're not going to cancel it like the Visceral title. They're actually going to make this game work as best as they can and put all the heart and soul into it that they possibly can. So here's crossing our fingers that happens. In terms of what it looks like right now, it's still kind of bleak. And I feel the only reason that it is people in social media in today's world find any reason possible for the most beloved things that anybody loves to complain. They like to go out, they like to have their voice heard, whether it be good or bad. Generally, the naysayers have more spread in the media than the people who give it more credit than it's really worth. So I would say right now, the IP itself for Battlefront 2 is solid. It's a solid game. It's got the career mode that the fans asked for. Even if it's not maybe the time length they asked for, it's got a lot of quality. There's a lot of good canon stuff in there that I think a lot of fans are going to like by the time they sit down and play it.
The game plays about 4 hours, the story mode.
If you just go right through it, just bash through it. It's only 4 hours, but if you sit there and like drool like I did over the canon details and stuff, it's about 5 hours.
Pat, let me ask you this. Is it like segmented, or is it like can you warp zone through it, or is there certain ways where you play that campaign and it will be 8 hours? Like, did you do the express lane version where you're just like, let me just barrel through this thing, or is it just that campaign is 4 hours and it's 4 hours?
I sat down and I played it start to finish with one little pause, and it was 5 hours. Literally sit down straight through.
So there's no like different avenues you could take, like, let me go over here for a little bit.
No, it's not
no
open
side
world.
quests.
It's not open world. And the reason they did that is because this is canon. They don't want you going out and trying to make choices or have your own story a la like Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic.
It doesn't have to be open world to have side quests. Something that says, like, here's another little bonus thing. You don't have to do it, but you can save the Wookiee from this falling bridge or something like that. Like,
oh my God, that would be horrible.
Well, that's how video games are, man.
They're going to make a Forces of Destiny episode of that, and Leia's going to hold the bridge up so that Chewie can get out.
But
it makes a lot of sense, physics.
But Disney's in a bind here right now because here's how it works, especially after playing Battlefront without spoiling anything. They have to take the direct avenues as if you're reading it as a Star Wars comic or any sort of Star Wars movie. You only go from point A to B to C to D because the canon says so. You can't go off just a little bit, because then all of a sudden, as soon as you do that, the fans start questioning the validity of the canon. And if you were to take side approach A, what does that entail? If all of a sudden Luke decides, hey, like you guys are saying, let's go save this Wookiee from the bridge disaster or whatever. Like,
I didn't say, don't say you guys. It was James.
Yeah. But if something like that were to happen, what are the repercussions after that in the storyline? That a million different options could come out of that and change the entire face of Star Wars. And so they're really just trying to play the safe and nice game here early on in the process. And I think the more the films come out, like 8, 9, the Rian Johnson trilogy, when they can start to take more risks, I feel like the video games will slowly catch up on that, and they'll start to take more risks. But overall, this is a very solid story, so I don't feel like anybody has too much of a reason to complain. It's
so are you going to spend $2,100?
Heck no. And
so then you won't be unlocking everything.
No, and the reason why is they've dropped the prices down on everything, so now that it's obtainable, everyone can do this. After playing the game in multiplayer, you can literally, after playing, I was trying to think about this in the math, if you average about 200 to 250 credits per match, that's about 4 to 5 matches per 1,000, times the 15,000 it would only take to get Luke and Vader now each. The time has been cut down exponentially. And on top of that, the guys working on the game have said that over the next few weeks after the game is launched publicly for everyone, they will be balancing this out. You will be able to get more credits if you play the objectives. If you get a certain amount of kills, you will be able to do that and work your way up. And customization's coming. There's a lot of stuff coming.
Let me ask you guys this, because I'm not a huge gamer. I used to play like baseball video games, and I would play Star Wars games, but I feel like they got too difficult for me. I know there's the multiplayer stuff just gives me so much anxiety. I would always get greased in all those Soldier of Fortune games and all that stuff. But in terms of this game itself, what is the big hubbub? Because it's not until by the time this podcast airs, a couple days ago, it wasn't even released yet, and everyone's freaking out. So
yeah, exactly.
And they're answering their concerns. So why is everyone flipping out, I guess, is my question.
Well, because they're kind of not answering the concerns. To me, it sounds like what they're kind of saying right now, what you're saying, Pat, is that they're starting to kind of get there, but all of the hubbub came from the fact that they weren't answering right away. They were doing, they did a Reddit AMA, and they got like some of the most downvoted comments of all time because of just the way they were handling the situation.
Yeah.
Like in the course of 60,000 downvotes or something like that. Something
what?
Crazy. Yeah. No, seriously. So I think one of the things on the AMA was the 8th most downvoted or something like that.
It was officially like the most downvoted comment ever on Reddit.
Oh, it became so
guys, can we challenge that? Let's come together as a podcast and post something on Reddit that becomes the most of all time.
So I think that's part of it. Now, one of the things too that I had heard is that they were going to remove the refund button. Like if you decided that you didn't want to buy the game, they made it so that you had to call in, and they were making it very difficult to get to those people to refund. They were trying to make it a way that you would just like lose hope and just like give up and
the
go
most
ahead
least
and
Star
keep
Wars
the game.
theme ever.
No, exactly. Yeah, because they were just like, well, if we make it really difficult for people to unsubscribe or return the game, then you know what I mean. And it's just kind of like those types of moves are the reason they were receiving all this bad press, and it was getting the fans to be like, what the heck are we getting into? If you guys are going to be charging this amount, or you're going to make these games, you say that, oh, you feel it's a sense of worth to play for that long and you finally unlock the character. Like, what am I doing with my life if you're expecting me to play 4,500 hours? That's like unbelievably
how many days is that?
Too many.
I can tell you this, like, I'm not a gamer, but I used to be a little bit more into video games, and I know there was one video game that I spent over 200 hours on. It was Final Fantasy X, going through like the dungeon and stuff, and I felt like that was like an eternity, and there was no reason that anybody should ever spend that much time. Now, granted, World of Warcraft has kind of taken over that, but no, but World of Warcraft has kind of taken over that. But I'm saying like 100 days might not be that crazy to someone online who's like grinding and stuff. But for me, what is it?
188.
Oh, 188. So almost twice. For every hour that I spent on Final Fantasy, they expect you to spend a day.
You know what's funny about that is there's like 180 days in the school year, like school days. So they're saying we want you to spend more than that, more than your education on getting our game and all the stuff done.
Yeah, and that's straight like you have 188 8-hour days of school, but this is 188 hour 24-hour sessions.
Right. That's just a lot of Red Bull.
So theoretically, it's really 3 school years to get everything, because if you spent 8 hours at school, 8 hours to sleep, and 8 hours to play Battlefront 2 that came out 3 years ago, you finally unlocked Vader. It was just like that's why people were completely up in arms, and I feel rightfully so. The bad part is that for me, the canon junkie, the guy who just wants the story, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what's the big deal? I'm not going to buy that stuff anyway. Oh, I don't get to play as Vader or Luke. That sucks. Like, I would like to be able to do that, but it's not a big deal to me. I'm not spending 21 grand, or not 21 grand, $2 grand, $2,100 on this. So guys, I don't know. I don't know what to think about Battlefront, but
overall though, how's the game?
The game's phenomenal. I mean,
that's
graphics,
the thing. The
graphics are beyond amazing. The campaign has some of the most beautiful cinematics I've ever seen, not just in a Star Wars game, in video games, period. There were moments I literally was looking at my television, looking out the window, looking back at my television and saying, am I watching like National Geographic or something here? Because this is beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's the unfortunate situation of this. Like, they made a great game, like with gameplay mechanics and story mode and everything that we ever wanted, and then they just said, yeah, and if you want to do everything in it, you owe us all this money. And people are like, that means we don't get to experience your game. You're basically just telling us like, hey, we made a movie called The Last Jedi, and we're going to show it in 20-minute segments over the course of 3 years, and it's going to cost you $100 to see each one of the 20-minute segments. Yeah. It's like, you're just making it so unrealistic that we can't actually watch the movie. You're saying it's not possible to watch the movie unless we just pay out all this crazy money. And that's just something we don't want. It's like, make it a certain price and give us the content that you work so hard on so we can enjoy it. And so I don't know. It's just a crazy situation, but I will say that's pretty much all the major news that came out this week. There's a couple other side bits, so I'm going to throw it to you, John Hoey, for the Scoundrels Rundown.
All right. Now, the Star Tours ride is getting another update, but you have to buy a $100 ticket to get into the park, and then you have to pay $25 to get on the ride, because they're going to model it after EA, I guess. That's just my guess.
Oh.
No, I just made that up. But, yeah, I'll head to Orlando to check this out. So let's punch it. Yep, that's right. The Star Tours ride at Disney Parks is getting its latest saga film upgrade. Disney Parks announced that a sequence involving the new planet Crate from The Last Jedi will make its official debut this week. And actually, Mark Hamill made an appearance riding along with test riders. He surprised a group of riders. I walked in, and you see all these people reaching for their phones. It's just funny how things are nowadays. People are like, wait, I got to get this. I got to get this. Oh, my
gosh.
So he comes into the room, and he was like, yeah, it's crazy. The movie's coming out. Am I turning dark? Am I turning light? I can't say anything because Lucasfilm will cut my head off. And some people were like, really? They're going to cut your head off? And he sat down and actually rode the ride with them. So that was pretty cool. But they did also tease that Crate's not going to be the only new planet scene featured in the ride. They said there's going to be some others coming. They didn't say which ones, but I believe it's opening now or around now. So if you are in that area or heading to Disney, check out Star Tours for the new updates from The Last Jedi. Maybe we'll see them coasting along the surface of the water around Octo or the top of the mountains of Octo or something cool like that. Mm-hmm. Next time I go to Disney, I'll be sure to check it out. And maybe Galaxy's Edge will be open by then. But onto toys, Hasbro has revealed a new size line of figures. Like we know about the 6-inch figures. We know about the classic 3.75-inch figures. Well, now, guys, you can get your very own 1-inch figures. Yeah, that's right. Micro Force figures are on their way. And according to StarWars.com, Wave 1 will arrive in December with the figures coming 2 per pack alongside a checklist collector card. And the line covers the entire saga. So you can get a Gungan, you can get a Porg. Now, thankfully, they're coming out soon, just in time to buy them and set them up on the floor in front of your doorway or window in case Harry and Mauve decide to come rob your house this Christmas. It's a Home Alone reference.
Yeah, Mauve.
Mauve, why'd I go into this house with my bare feet? I'm stepping on all these micro machines. The Porg cut up my foot. Anyway, we're going to send it over to our friends at Comics with Kenobi for this week's review in comics.
Hello, Resistance Broadcast. The Star Wars comics out this week include Darth Vader number 8 and Dr. Aphra number 14. In Darth Vader, it's never wise to upset a stern librarian. They will bring down their wrathful fury on you if you mess with their tomes. And in Dr. Aphra, number 14, a little bit of a change in character here. We're seeing Dr. Aphra starting to gather a bit of a conscience, if you will. This is all due to Imperial Officer Magna Tolvan, who is making another appearance in this series. It's got a heck of an ending to it as well. We thought Dr. Aphra was free and clear of a pair of certain murderous droids. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. A lot of action in both books. Of course, Dr. Aphra 14 marks the debut of Cy Spurrier as the co-writer with Kieran Gillen. He's helping out while Kieran Gillen takes over the writing chores of the existing Star Wars series. That's it for now. Next week's Star Wars comics include Star Wars number 39, Part 2 of The Ashes of Jedha. Back to you. Over and out.
Thanks, Matt. Be sure to follow them at Comics WTH Kenobi, and you can even just tweet at them whenever. They'll let you know what the best comics are to check out at any time. So anytime someone asks me about a Star Wars comic, I send them their way for the most part. Now, speaking of comics, Timothy Zahn's canon Thrawn novel is getting the Marvel Comics treatment. It's set to be released in February, and according to StarWars.com, the 6 issues will be a retelling of Zahn's novel about Thrawn's backstory, along with new never-before-revealed scenes. Now, do you guys out there like pictures? Because I do. So I'll likely be picking this up to fully soak in Thrawn's return to canon. Now, our final story in the rundown this week, Star Wars Rebels fall finale Rebel Assault aired last Monday. The show will now take a winter hiatus before picking up in 2018 to finish the series. Heading into the hiatus, we are left with Hera being captured by the Empire and the looming Lothwolf cryptically communicating with Kanan. Now, we know Hera won't die thanks to Forces of Destiny and technically Rogue One, so the drama of this cliffhanger doesn't really hold the same water it might have if we didn't know that. But, I mean, either way, we're looking forward to the home stretch, which will kick off in 2018 to end the series and answer all of our questions, especially all of James' questions.
Like, when did she get promoted to general? Martin Matten refers to her as General Syndulla in the episode. We never got the big reveal of that actually happening. I don't know. Maybe I missed something.
Well, hopefully they answer all of those types of questions. Now, you guys can find the articles for all these stories and more at StarWarsNewsNet.com, the best place for Star Wars news in the galaxy. And that's your Scoundrels Rundown for this week. Now, I would normally send it to Bill, but in the words of the late, great Samuel L. Jackson, Bill, that ain't a name I ever heard of. They speak English in Bill? So we're gonna take a break from Is the Force With You this week. And we're going to get into your tweets. So, Pat, what's the Resistance tweeting about this week?
Well, first of all, Bill does have the high ground. I was endorsed by him to tell you all that. All right, kicking it off this week, we asked you guys out on Twitter for some questions for the podcast. This is something we have not done in quite a while, so we reached out to you, the fans, to ask us some questions. First of all, kicking it off this week, we got one from Jeremey Jett at JJet2015. He asked, do you think the new live-action TV series is going to be like Star Wars The Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels? Personally, for me, if it's going to be anything like a Luke and Ben Solo sort of thing, I feel like this is going to be more akin to that relationship between Ezra and Kanan. I feel like there's a lot going on there, that bond between almost like a father and a son. So I feel like if Uncle Luke's going to show up on the big screen, that's something I would like. If it's more action-oriented, I'd want something more akin to the Clone Wars. John, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think my initial thoughts, and I think it's because people have like incepted me with this thought, is Knights of the Old Republic, Game of Thrones style TV show, live action. It's going to be like, and Disney might just say, we're not giving you what you want. We're going to give you what we think you want, and you're going to like it. So they may go what you're saying and do another animated type of thing. Because that's the other thing people have been pining for, was that 30-year gap between 6 and 7. There's so much room to fill there. And if you animate Luke, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, Mark Hamill's too old to play it. We don't have to get Sebastian, what's his name? that whole thing.
Sebastian Stan. But still, like, we do know it's going to be live action, though. I mean, they already announced that it's live action.
Oh, that's right. They said live action. Yeah, okay.
I personally think that, like, the question is kind of meaning more along the lines of like story elements and how they're going to proceed to tell stories with these characters, because obviously we know it's live action, but the question is being proposed, is the show going to be more like Star Wars The Clone Wars, or is it going to be more like Rebels? And I think that in Rebels we get a lot of interpersonal stuff, and I think that Rebels really goes to show what they're trying to do with the new canon, whereas Star Wars Clone Wars was something different. They were a little bit free to explore whatever they wanted to do, and it was supposed to be serialized, but at the same time, I think there was something really to be said about how there was a structure, and they were fighting off like the bad guys, and the good guys were the people who had all of the stuff at their disposal. You know what I mean?
Well,
it wasn't like a band of rebels trying to beat the big empire. It was, we were the good guys and we were trying to fight off all the bad guys, and we just knew this was leading to something different. I see both elements happening. I see a lot of personal stories that will happen in it, like Rebels, and I see a lot of battle and conformity like the Clone Wars had.
I just wonder if they're going to, because Rebels and Clone Wars together both had to fit within a certain time period, I guess. There was an end game where this leads up to this movie and this leads up to this movie. So I wonder if they're going to do that, where they have to wedge something into a certain time gap, or they're going to say, you don't have to worry about ending it this time, or, that kind of, I'm not sure.
I would imagine that this story would be removed enough that they would be able to say, let the television live action show be its own story, and other things that we do, comics, video games, books that revolve around that, will have to match what it does.
I'd be on board with that.
Rather than this having to fit in with what the movies do, let it be the centerpiece for all the comics and toys and games and everything to figure out how they're going to work around what its story is, and the showrunners of that to create. Pat, what's the next question? We've answered this one.
Our next question comes from Evan at HarrisEv9 on Twitter, and he asks, with less than a month to go, we haven't seen any hints of the Knights of Ren. Do you guys still think that they accompany Kylo to Ahch-To? John, I'll let you start this one.
I don't know. Every time I think of Ahch-To, I don't think about a confrontation happening there. I don't know if that's because the marketing's steering my brain that way. But I know we talked a lot about connecting things in terms of that rain scene with Luke. Looks like it's the rain scene from Rey's, what we think might be a Force forward, Force vision. I'm going to say yes. I don't know what their relevance is anymore because we haven't seen anything from them in the first not the first movie, but in The Force Awakens. We're not seeing anything from them in any of the promos for The Last Jedi. So I just don't know how important, like, to me in my brain, these guys are as significant as Praetorian Guards. So unless they knock me away and like blow me away and Lucasfilm was purposely keeping them from us, these guys are an afterthought to me, like kind of like the guys at the beginning of Double Dragon that you beat to get to the boss.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what they are to me right now anyway.
Yeah, to me, the Knights of Ren were the coolest thing that we never got from The Force Awakens. Like, that was in that first teaser or one of the trailers, like, right away, and we just, like, our minds went crazy, like, oh my gosh, these, like, 7 dudes, and they're gonna be, like, these, like, we didn't even know they were called the Knights, but that was exactly what we were going to. They're like, oh, they're these, like, medieval, like knight-style, King Arthurian type stuff, and for some reason they just what we got in the teaser was the same thing we got in the movie. It's like, here's a lightning bolt of these characters, and that's all you get to see. I would be pretty bummed if they didn't make some sort of appearance or significant appearance in this movie, and I think we've talked about that with the behind the scenes reel, that they, you know, Rey is like fighting off like 3 guys at once. I hope those aren't Praetorian Guards. I hope those are the Knights of Ren. And then maybe the Praetorian Guards come in episode 9 and actually get a little bit of room to shine. I'm with you 100% though, as far as them showing up on Octo. I've never really felt like that was the place where this battle was going to happen. That's a different destination. And I'm not, I don't know. I mean, they might be dead. I mean, who knows? You know, at this point, we just don't have enough information. Pat, what do you feel about the Knights of Ren showing up on Octo?
I want this so bad. First of all, because
Really?
we didn't get this in Force Awakens, and because we had heard rumors that when they went and did the reshoots, not on Skellig Michael, but actually on mainland Ireland, where they rebuilt all the huts and everything, we had heard that maybe somebody had spotted Mark Hamill fighting what appeared to be the Knights of Ren on Octo, potentially. Still waiting to confirm that. For all we know, that's a deleted scene, and they decided just to get rid of that. So, you know how Lucas...
He's fighting off caretakers who were trying to eat porgs, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, we have no idea what's going on there, so until we see the film, it's kind of up for grabs. I'd love to see that, because that would give the Knights their chance to shine. But as they've been showing in the marketing, Praetorian Guards are front and center. That's what they want you to see in this film. But those guys accompany Snoke, even though he says, Kylo, you are the master of the Knights of Ren. I feel like if it turns out the Knights of Ren are actually the Praetorian Guards and they've just evolved to the next generation, kind of like Pokemon evolving.
You know what I think, Pat? I think the Praetorian Guards are going to get sliced up like a bunch of rotten tomatoes.
Ooh, segue.
Terrible segue, Mr. Hoey, but we'll move on with that. Our next tweet came from Frederick Sutter at FSutter1, and they said, thoughts on Rotten Tomatoes possibly holding the score back till that Thursday the 14th for their score reveal show. They did that for Justice League and said that they will do this every week now for big releases. On this one, I feel like, yes, they will be leaving the scores out until the actual film or a couple days after, because especially with these big blockbuster hits, they really don't want to try to jump the gun on the reviews, because any critic, any audience can put a score on a film right off the bat. But even if a film you think is going to be a huge AAA name like Star Wars or James Bond or Harry Potter, anything like that, if you're going to try to stick a score on that and a bunch of people don't like it, even if it turns out to be a generally good, well-received film from the general audience, you're going to see a split. And there's been a couple films out there you've seen on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm sure, where you see the critic score really low and the general audience score really, really high. And that can make or break the total box office budget opening weekend, and I think that's why they're really trying to withhold those scores on Rotten Tomatoes, just because it's such a reviewed site in terms of ratings and everything that it really can make or break a film.
This whole thing that Rotten Tomatoes is doing is interesting. One thing I will say is that the public seems to think that they have a right to those scores. And I think that that's something that Rotten Tomatoes is doing. They're doing the work. They're putting it all together. And if they want to do something totally weird and not even reveal what the actual number is, if it's below 50 or 60, which is not what they're doing, but I'm saying if they wanted to do that, it's their right. They can do that as a website. So what they're trying to do is, I think that they're trying to just monetize this process, get them more clicks, get more people to go to their sites, to get people interested to see what that score is. I don't know that it necessarily has anything to do with people going to see the movie or not going to see the movie, because I don't think Rotten Tomatoes is interested in the movie being successful or not. They're worried about their site being successful or not. And as far as it happening for The Last Jedi, I think if this doesn't crash and burn really badly, then yeah, they're going to be doing it for the next couple months. And Last Jedi is definitely a movie that they're going to want to target, especially if they're targeting, they didn't do this for Wonder. They did this for Justice League,
right?
You know? One final thing that I want to say is that I feel like this is a good opportunity for people to hear exactly how this score works. If they're interested in seeing the score for Justice League, then they go to the site, they watch these people, and this is Rotten Tomatoes talking directly to fans, and yet they still didn't really seem to mention the fact that, this is how Rotten Tomatoes worked. This means that 43% or 47% of people who saw the movie liked it or didn't like it. They just kind of explained, that's the number. I guess people, whatever. And it's like, you have so much confusion with your site. Use this as an opportunity to steer people in the direction of, this is how the site is supposed to work. John, are they going to do this for The Last Jedi?
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Honestly, like, I was thinking about this the other day, and I tweeted out, like, because in reference to Justice League, I tweeted out, I can't imagine like people waiting to go see Superman 2 and being like, well, I got to find out what it says on Rotten Tomatoes before I go see Superman 2. Like, people had to wait to look in the paper to see if Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. And I'm 35, and I can tell when I watch a trailer for a movie whether I'm going to like it or not, or want to see it or not. Like, that's not taking anything away from critics. I mean, I respect the hell out of what they do and everything, but like, I really don't care about Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I couldn't care less. And Last Jedi is not going to be fazed by that at all, whether they don't ever post anything about it or they do. And even if Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 30, it's going to make $500 gazillion. So it's like Star Wars, as of now anyway, is so impervious to that. Whereas something like Justice League, which I think we've all kind of felt was just, DC was trying to keep up with the Marvel machine, and they're not really sure what the hell they're doing with a lot of their projects. So, they've been getting slammed left and right, from Suicide Squad to even Man of Steel, which I loved, got knocked. So I just think it's a different animal. So I don't know if they're going to do it, but it doesn't matter at all.
So we would like to definitely thank all of you for sending your questions in to us here at the Resistance Broadcast. Of course, tweet us your questions and comments at RBATSWNN on Twitter. We will definitely get to those questions in the next few weeks. If you don't see it on the episode, don't feel bad. It will more than likely appear on a future episode. Back to you, Mr. Hoey.
All right, and that brings us towards the end of our show here. Now, remember, you can find the Resistance Broadcast on several platforms now. Follow us on SoundCloud and subscribe to us on iTunes. And please, it takes 2 seconds. Give us a 5-star rating and review if you love the show. It really goes a long way for us. And if you're not a podcast app person, that's all good, because now we have a YouTube channel. So go to YouTube. You'll find us there. We have a link constantly on our Twitter profile. Subscribe there. We post our full episodes with awesome visuals that James makes for us. And we'll be posting some cool non-episode stuff on there, I think, in the new year. We're trying to figure that out now. And lastly, we have a new Facebook page. So we're coming for you, Zuckerberg. So look up the Resistance Broadcast on Facebook. Like our page. Give us a review there as well. And we may actually do some Facebook exclusive stuff in the future, but we'll get into that a little later. But thanks so much for joining us. And James, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, MIRAHTRUNKS. And constantly I'm in the background. I'm working on stuff like John was saying with the YouTube. There's a lot of stuff going on. We mentioned on last week's episode that we're working on shirts. We're working on music. We're working on all kinds of background stuff. I even kind of threw out there that there's some cool stuff that's happening in the future coming in. Maybe we can make those announcements in the next couple weeks, but that is where you will find me.
Awesome. Pat, where you at?
You could find me eating some turkey and mashed potatoes later this week.
Nice.
And, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Ganon136. That's GANON136. That is not a Dragon Ball reference. And, of course, you can always find me
worse.
on Xbox now. I am on Xbox playing Battlefront 2. Add me. Gamertag is Ganondorf136. Would love to play some Battlefront with you guys in my spare time. And, speaking of Battlefront 2... next week, you all will be thanking me this. If you're a huge canon junkie, I highly recommend it. It's only 5 hours currently until we get single-player DLC in December. There's some really big, massive canon reveals towards the end of this game you guys are going to love.
All right, well, if that's the case, then be sure to also go to Star Wars News Net and go to the top left of the page and click on the Cantina, because Pat is a maniac on that thing. So he will talk to you on the Cantina with 8,000 other members of the Star Wars Newsnet community all around the world, 24/7, all different types. There's even a forum about food, so you can talk about Thanksgiving on there while you listen to the podcast. Get into it. It's free. It's fun. And although he's not here with us today, he is under the weather, but he will be back as loud and in your face as ever, as you love him. Bill Sheehy. You can find him at Star Wars Bill on the Twitters, as he likes to put it off. And so get better, Bill, and we'll see you soon. And you can find me at, I'm John Hoey, and you can find me at Johnny Hoey on Twitter, and I write weekly on StarWarsNewsNet.com. And on December 9th, once again, I'm pinching myself here because I feel like I'm sleeping and dreaming. You can find me in LA at the world premiere of The Last Jedi. So, thanks so much for joining us. We love you guys. Again, thanks so much for getting us over the 1,000 mark on Twitter followers. You guys are the absolute best, so please... we're thankful to you because it's Thanksgiving week, and tell your friends, tell your family, we love you guys, and that about does it for this transmission of the Resistance broadcast.
Hey Akbar, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
It's a